Happy New Year. Today, I am going to walk through some tips that will make it easier to start a note taking habit in 2024, which, if you don't yet have a daily note taking habit, I highly recommend it. Probably one of the single greatest things you can do to improve your quality of life because it helps your productivity, it helps your thinking, helps your creativity, your writing, all of that good stuff. So, let me kind of start walking through some of these. The first one is the daily note taking form. So, I'm sitting here in Reflect, which uses the daily note taking format as sort of its home base. And that means I've got this ongoing note with a new section for each day. And it goes on to infinity, kind of like an infinite calendar, and goes back to infinity as well. So you operate out of this each day. And when you open your notes, you know exactly where to start. You know exactly where to put things. So I'll talk about how to use the daily note in a couple more of these examples. But if you don't have a note-taking app that uses the daily note-taking format, just create a new note for each day. If you're using something like a physical notebook, just create a new page for each day, and it will operate in a similar format. But that's really what you should operate out of. So no matter what, use a daily note-taking format of some kind. Okay, number two, use voice notes. So this is a new one, new as in, in the last year with AI. Because voice notes using AI when they're transcribed are almost humanly accurate. Is that a word? Humanly? A human level. They have a human level of accuracy. And that just makes it so much more practical because before it just wasn't accurate enough for you to really rely on. But now they're super reliable. So I can just kind of click on this and it will start recording and transcribing everything that I say. And it will plop it right down in my daily note here. And so you can see it's really good. You can just talk like normal. You can use kind of weird words, even if you have, strange names or you want to switch the language, you can do that in the preferences page and whatnot. And then it should, yep, there we go. It shows up in the daily note here. And so you can see that it's very, very excellent. And it just puts it underneath an audio memo note here. And after I do the recording, I can pull up the AI palette editor. So if I were to, list like my to-do list for the day, I could have it, list the daily tasks in the order that I do them. That's a custom prompt that I have. I could just have it do the key takeaways of something. I can have it summarize things, all that good stuff. So I guess that's a twofer, both using audio notes and using the AI palette editor. Awesome. Okay. So let's kind of talk a little bit more about what you should do within your daily notes. I think the one that really got me into note taking was doing a daily reflection each morning. And I'm going to combo this actually. I'm going to combo the daily reflection and I guess I didn't write down the template one, but this one I'm really going to talk about too. So I'm going to say start with something like calming daily reflection and use a template. And the reason why I think that is important is if I go into my preferences here and click on templates, you can see that I've got this daily reflection template that's pre-written out. And so I've got a section for gratitude. I do a reframing exercise where I, list something that I'm worried or stressed about, and then I force myself to reframe it in a more positive light. And then I do a top priority for the day. And that's nice because then I can go into my daily note and I can call on the template and just say daily reflection. And it pulls that up and I can just start writing it in here. So, I can just start, typing in the thing, number one, that I'm thankful for and do the exercise. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but not having to do this structure just makes it so frictionless that it becomes very, very enjoyable. And if you do something like a daily reflection, that's actually, kind of therapeutic, kind of calming, you'll really look forward to doing it every morning and it just naturally becomes part of your routine. And if you're opening your notes, do a daily reflection, then you're probably going to do other note taking in it as well. So daily reflection is very enjoyable. I highly recommend it for everyone. All right. Number 4, keeping a to-do list or running a log of your day. This is probably the simplest thing to do within your daily note. And you don't have to overcomplicate it. So you could just have label it to do, and then underneath it, put action items. So maybe the first one is to do a daily reflection. And it's, maybe that's what I just did. And then you go through and you check it off. Just a basic to-do list. And then you can put in your work things there. if I have meetings here, I can click into that and add my meetings. And again, if you're not using one with this integration, don't worry, you can just list the meeting out. As things pop up that you need to do, you can list to-do items. If I think of something that I do tomorrow, like publishing this video, you can write that. On note-taking habit, I haven't decided what the title is going to be. So yeah, to-do list, very basic thing. And then you can also do kind of a top-down version of that, I guess. No, I guess this would be bottom up. So a to-do list is where you kind of sit there and you think of everything that you need to do and you list it out. But you can also go in the reverse direction and do what I call a daily log. And so a daily log, we would just literally list the things that happen in our day. So instead of a checkbox, I could say like 7 a.m. did my daily reflection, and it's a list item, not a to-do item. And, then maybe it's like 9 a.m. I met with Alex McCaw, and, it's literally just a running log of your day. I personally like the to-do list because I get that sweet, sweet mental satisfaction of checking it off. I do know some people that do the log and they just cross them out, but I don't know, I think it's a little messier. So keep a to-do list, keep a daily log, whichever one you prefer. But if you're really looking to be more productive or actually kind of start truly note-taking where you're logging information, another great place to start. Okay. Let's go back to this thing here. So number 5, this is a quick one. Use a tool that you really enjoy. Obviously, I enjoy Reflect. That's why I joined their team. But if you're someone that's struggling to start a note-taking habit, I would probably recommend using the most simple and frictionless tool that you can find. I think for a lot of people that might be Apple Notes. Reflect is also, that's why we joke that Apple Notes is our biggest competitor, because it's very, very simple. If you have a complex tool, if you have a slow tool, if you have a really buggy tool, you're just not going to look forward to taking notes, and it makes it that much harder to start a habit. So don't spend a lot of time looking through tools. Like, you can go try them pretty quickly and you'll know relatively quickly whether you like it or not. Focus on the actual just frictionless note taking. Don't go hunting down some complex features. Okay. And then the last one, just start keeping and saving everything in your notes. Again, probably from the daily note. Like, you can create dedicated notes for things, of course, but your daily note's your home base. So start keeping and saving everything here. Some examples of that, like you can keep a grocery list. Like I said, meetings or just people you meet. Maybe you go to a New Year's party and meet the new people, log their names down and, any information about them that you want to remember. New ideas. I've got my ideas list over here that I've got penned along with, goals, and a brain dump, that I can access quickly. Anything that happens to you, I guess that's just a daily log, but I don't know, maybe there's just a memory you want to capture. Just anything else that happens in your brain, that's kind of the point of note taking, is to be this mirror of what's happening in our mind. So if something significant happens, capture it in your notes, specifically in the daily note, so that you don't have to think about where to put it. So I think these tips will make it a lot easier for you to start a habit. And it's just one of those habits that doesn't take that much to build. And once you do, the rewards just start very, very obviously compounding, and it becomes kind of an addiction. So do it for like a month. And I think, after probably just a week or two, you'll be completely addicted to it and ready to keep going.